Hi, my name is Jane Coleman. I'm the founder of Your Beautiful Child. I am a parent coach and guide, and I want to welcome each of you tonight onto this teleseminar. If you're listening live or if this is a replay, I am so grateful that you took the time to sign up, that you are open to the possibilities of joyful parenting, and that you are here right now when there are probably 17 other things you could be doing right now that might feel more purposeful. And so if you're here, what that tells me is you want more out of your parenting experience. So welcome. I founded Your Beautiful Child after working in a classroom for years and then working therapeutically with children ages 3 and up. And what I found was that children operate on such a simple level, and that as adults, it's so hard for us to reconnect to that simplicity. So through my years of creating different programs and working with different families, I've come to realize really simple, easy, and practical tools that you can walk away with and use right away from this call, from this class. So how this ride tonight will go is I will share some stories. I will give you a couple of practices, and we will actually do a couple of practices here. And then there'll be lots of content. And I ask that you listen with an open mind. If one or two things don't resonate with you or they don't feel right, I give as much as I can. And that I really believe that if you show up to this, that you'll take away something now and take away something later. And that all the information that I give you tonight is now in your consciousness. And it might pop up useful in 2 weeks. It might be a month, and something I say might come in and be like, oh, that makes sense right now. So I ask you to come up with an intention, something that you want to get out of tonight's class. Maybe you want a tip, a tool. Maybe you want to feel more relaxed. Maybe you want information on how to deal with your child in a tantrum. Whatever it is, come up with a really clear intention. And when you have a clear intention, you can get clear attainment. So I invite you right this moment to just close your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths into your belly, out of your nose or out of your mouth. And if any of the bullet points that drew you into this class, I want you to just breathe into the idea they don't have to be that way anymore. So if you feel like you talk too much when you're teaching your child a lesson, if you feel like you discipline and you just hear yourself giving a soliloquy, if you have a hard time saying no to your child, if you don't feel good about disciplining, or if you're not disciplining at all and you feel like your child's running all over the place on you, if you want to have more ease and more joy, if you want to partner with your parenting partner and really feel like you're operating from teamwork, if you want your child to grow up and feel calm, if you want to make sure that you're doing the best that you can, and if you really want to understand your child better, you're in the right place. So taking one more deep breath in, really getting a visual on what your intention is of why you're here, why you're listening to this class, and really letting in the possibility that you can be one of those parents that really enjoys your children, even when they're acting up, even when they don't want to eat, even when they have a hard time going to sleep, or they don't want to go to get dressed in the morning, or they're just losing it and they're running amok all around the house and you don't know what to do. That within those moments, it is possible to be conscious and aware and loving and actually get your children to listen to you in public and at home. So answer to yourself right now, what would be the best thing about consciously parenting? What would be the best thing about feeling really good about how your child reacts to you when you tell them what you want from them? Would it be peace of mind, relaxation? Would it be feeling in control of your family? What would be the best thing about having a peaceful household? And so I want to define my version of discipline because I hear that word so many times. And the word discipline to me sounds very strict and very do what I say or else. And I want to talk a little bit about the old paradigm of parenting. And I want to keep an eye on the time too. So the old paradigm of parenting is basically focusing on do this or else, right? Consequences, disciplinarian, authoritarian, being in charge, getting your kids to listen. And maybe we were all parented that way. I know I was. There was punishment, there was yelling, there was fear of getting in trouble. So if anybody right now can resonate with getting in trouble, you're in the right place. And what I believe is that there can be a way that children are spoken with, spoken to, and around that doesn't have to be focusing on getting in trouble. So I want to share a story of a little boy. I was working with a girl in a classroom. She was getting one-on-one therapy, and I was her person. I was her therapist, and I was in her classroom, and a little boy, preschool, 3 years old, the teacher was teaching handwriting, or she was teaching them how to write their names. And this little boy couldn't hold the pencil. I mean, it was preschool. It was way above anything he could do. He was holding the pencil funny. And the teacher was very old school, right? I don't even want to say what school this is. It's in Brooklyn. She was disciplining. She was being very strict, and exactly what I thought of when I thought of the old paradigm of teaching. Sit at your desks, get there quickly and quietly, do what I say, ... or else. And this little boy was doing his thing, and I was just happened to be sitting next to him, and he said, I can't do it. I can't do it. He was really upset. And he said, is she going to be mad at me? That's all he knew, was the teacher was going to be mad at him or not. And the truth is, he needed support. He needed help. His self-esteem was being squashed, but nevertheless, he couldn't do what the assignment was, and he was afraid. And I know that if you're on this call, you don't want a parent out of fear. You don't want your child to be afraid of you. And there is something in between. So discipline, the word itself, sounds very hardcore. And I want to change it to relationship building, right? So instead, I'm just taking notes on my own stuff sometimes. So instead of disciplining your children, you want to be building a relationship with them. Even if, let's say, you go to work, or your partner or anyone that's close to you says, I need you to do this, or else we're not going. Or I need you to do this, or I'm going to take your jewelry away. Or I don't know, whatever comes up. That threat of, if you don't do this, this is going to happen to you, puts you in a position of giving your power away. So I don't want this to confuse things, but your power is your love, right? Your power is your love. Your power is your inside connection to your child. If your power is a new toy, if your power is taking things away from your child, you're giving your power away. It's like you're saying, my word is not strong enough, so I have to start getting outside influences to make my child do what I want. And my belief is, if you build a relationship and it's a strong enough relationship, your child will go with you. I don't know why. Sometimes I use my hands as puppets, but I want that to make sense. So your power is your love. And your child will listen to you, follow directions, and do what you want if you love them. Okay, I know that sounds really simple, and I know you all love them. But loving them is a deeper consciousness that I want to explore today. So unconditional love means you love your child when they don't want to get dressed, when they don't want to eat their dinner, when they throw food on the floor, when they scream in your face. And even though you do underlyingly love them in that moment might feel really crappy or really yucky. And what do? How can you show them unconditional love when they're doing that? Right? So I'm going to paint a picture of many scenarios. Maybe one of them will fit your life and your mind, and maybe they won't. But it will open up your mind to different ways that children think and feel and show that, and then you can translate it to your own. And then at the end of this class, I will explain to you that I'll be picking out a couple of people for breakthrough sessions. And that is basically an opportunity to work with me further, and it's free. And you can ask me any questions you want on that call. And if it feels like a good fit, I will share about how we can work together. Because I'm really interested in working with parents that want more. If you don't, and if you're not willing to put in the work, I'm so glad you get to enjoy this call, but perhaps we're not a good fit, and it's really good to know that too. So before we get into the juicy details, I want to explain what consciousness to me means in the realm of parenting. Means all is okay. There's no right, there's no wrong, there's no good, there's no bad, there's no shame, there's no guilt, and no worry. Consciousness is being aware of whatever you're doing and accepting it in that moment and just noticing it, witnessing it, not making yourself a bad mom or a bad dad or feeling awful and letting it sit there. It's okay to feel awful. It's okay to feel guilty. It's okay to feel bitter, anger, shame, but not to stay in it. So consciousness is being aware of all of your feelings, all of your emotions, even if they're the bad ones, because it's the bad ones that you can most relate to your child in. Okay? So instead of discipline, I'm saying relationship building. And consciousness to me means a strong awareness in presence. Okay, so the biggest epidemic I see with parents is that they are not present with their child. They're worrying about 30 years from now and like what's going to happen. They're worrying about 10 minutes from now when they actually can't make it to their appointment on time, or judgment from the outside viewers of your child who's not disciplined enough. So relationship building and an awareness and presence is where we're going to base everything on. So think of that like the bottom layer. Okay? And then I want you to recall a time when you feel like your child was acting undisciplined. When your child was acting wild and crazy. It could be in public, it could be at home, it could be at your in-laws' house. Wherever it felt uncomfortable for you that they were acting out, right? It could be they want to sleep in your bed every night and you don't want them to do that. It could be, I always think of the big ones, like eating, sleeping, following directions, right? So think of one scenario where that happened. And if you can, recall what you felt like when they were flipping out or they were doing their thing. And if you're aware, even thinking about it, and if you can tune in where you felt that in your body. So some people feel a tremendous strain in their shoulders, or your heart starts to race, or you start to cringe, or your eyebrows go down. And in that moment, that's the moment of awareness where something great can happen. And I know that's the moment where you could also check out. That's the moment where you could go all of a sudden do the dishes or get on the phone or pick up your child and take them out of there. And that's the moment where if you can find it in yourself to connect with your child, it can be magic. So I'm going to give you a scenario of a woman at the Park Slope Food Co-op, which is a location in Brooklyn, and it's very busy and it's a very small space and there's a ton of people. So I was there and a little boy was flipping out. He just came in with his mom and he was flailing his body around. He could have been like 2.5, 3, and he didn't want to go in the cart. And I saw already her jaw was clenching. She was like, get in the cart, like that face. And he arched his back and threw himself down. Okay. So he landed safely because kids know how to do that. They know. And I always watch people in public. I mean, we all do. So what this mom did was really interesting. She got down with him. In that moment, she didn't skip a beat. She threw herself on the floor too. And if you don't know the Park Slope Food Co-op, it's a very interesting place with lots of people that parent very differently. There's a child care place, but not everybody brings their kid there. So it's probably the most tense place, but the most liberal, open-minded, progressive, but also the extreme other side as well, all in one place. But everybody wants healthy food. Okay, I hope he gave you a good description. So she plopped on the floor with him, and I wasn't close enough to hear what she was saying, but I could see what she was doing, and I loved it. And it may not be where you're at, but I just want to give you this example. So he plopped himself on the floor. She went down right with him, and she got close to him. She didn't touch him. She didn't try to remove him or pick him up or do anything. And I just saw her connecting with him. She got like really close, eye to eye, and was saying something to him. And then I saw she put up her fingers like she was giving him a choice. Boom and boom. And he sat there and he was like, he contemplated what he wanted. And he stood up and he picked his arms up. And she put him in the stroller or the wagon. And off they went. So I've created a whole story of what happened. And I loved what she did. Now, not everybody is able to plop on the floor. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But what she did was she connected with him. I'm assuming she gave him 2 choices. And I also, in my story, created that she let him know what they're going to do at the supermarket. And then they were going to go home. So kids are like dropped off here, picked up, brought to the dentist, go here, do this, do this, do this, do this. They don't know the plan necessarily. So one really easy tool that I'm going to give you, and this can be done before a tantrum, this can be done for a 1-year-old, this can be done for a 6-month-old because it's training you to get in the habit, is to tell them what is on the agenda. And it could be the next 3 steps, the next 2 steps, the next hour, whatever they need, so they know when they're going to have a time to rest or relax or be with their toys or whatever they really want. So here's my story that I created about this woman. She jumped down on the floor with him, or she got down on the floor with him and said, I am here. I love you. What can I do? What can we do? And that can be anything like, I love you. I'm here for you. What do you want? I love you. I'm here for you. What do you want? Or what can we do? Something along those lines where you're asking a question. Now, some kids are not, it's not good to ask them open-ended questions, but if your child's already melting down, they probably know what they want. They want something, right? If it's just happened, if it's 10 minutes into the meltdown, forget it. Hug them and love them and tell them, I love you, you're safe 1,000,000 times. Don't apologize. Okay. So part of me wants to give you a reason for each thing I just said, but I want to keep this really succinct because I can go off in la la land because I get really passionate about each of those things. Letting your child know that you're there with them, right? So if you're an adult and you're standing up tall and they're on the floor, all of a sudden it's like you have this like monster looking thing happening. And they just want to power struggle against you. When you get to the eye level with them and you hunch over and you level with them and you're like, I'm here, I love you, what do you want? You know? And I want to say, let's push away the feeling of like, then he's going to win. You and your child, the goal is so you both win. It's not like he gets his way, I don't. It's like, no, let's make this happen together. So asking them what they want. If they still cry and they don't know, give them a choice of two things. Do you want to go in the stroller? No. No. Do you want to go home? Yes. Great. I'm so glad you told me you wanted to go home. We have to buy milk, eggs, and diapers, and then we go home. Milk, eggs, and diapers home. Milk, eggs, and diapers home. Milk, eggs, and diapers, then we go home. Make a song out of it. Make a song out of it so you lighten up. If you stay in that heavy place when you're like, this is what we have to do. We have to do this, this, and this, and go home. Your child isn't really listening. They're just feeling you feel heavy. If you lighten it up with a song, and you don't have to belt out a song, but just sing to your child, milk, eggs, and diapers home, milk, eggs, and diapers home. They'll be like, okay, milk, eggs, and diapers home. Then you show him milk, eggs, diapers, let's go home. Now, I just realized we have to pay, right? So including all the steps for your child, and keep it really simple. Like they might know you have to pay and you can let them hold the dollar. Now, for some of you, this might be something you already know, but that using this as a reminder that when you're stressed, your energy, your consciousness is not present anymore. You're like, ah! And so your kid is like, ah, I can't deal with that. And he has an explosion. As adults, we know how to deal with it because we are trained with logic. Okay, everything's okay. I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to do two things at once. And your kid's like, I can't do all this. And they have a tantrum. So for some reason, I'm assuming that everybody's having this tantrum problem. If you're not, this kind of stuff that I'm giving you is helpful anyway for you to relationship build with your child, right? And I also want to say, P.S., tantrums are healthy. Tantrums are necessary. And yes, you can reduce them, but children don't need to talk out their tantrum. They don't need to explain or understand or make logic out of it. They just need to have the tantrum, be done, and move along with their day. So I'm obsessed in the most beautiful way with energy, right? We all have energy. And if we're conscious about it, we can bring it into parenting. I just realized I can speak on this topic for probably a full week, every day. And not only talk on it, but give experiences. So we're going to take this break and build up energy. And so if you're listening live, you might be tired. If you are listening to this any other day, it might be in the middle of your day. It might be nap time. We're going to build some energy. So uncross your feet if they're crossed. Put both feet on the floor. Roll your shoulders onto your back. And just shake your shoulders out. Roll your neck. And we're going to do something that might feel a little silly, but if you're on this call, you've earned it. So it's good. And it's almost as good as putting on red lipstick for a teleclass, because it's these things that feel a little uncomfortable that actually change the patterns that aren't working. And this red lipstick is a part of that. So everybody sit up as tall as you can. And by that, I don't mean throw your shoulders back. I mean, bring your tailbone as back as you can in the chair, but don't lean back. And We are going to start just by sitting up tall, shaking out your hands. My ring will fly off. Shaking out your hands a lot. Bringing your shoulders up and down. Taking a deep breath in and raising your arms up. And your line, what you're going to say is, I am an amazing parent. So you're going to raise your arms up and say it. I am an amazing parent. And so maybe it's one hand and it's a fist. I am an amazing parent. I am an amazing parent. And so keep saying that and really get your face into it. So you might want to do this in a mirror, or you might just feel ridiculous and do it in front of your child. I am an amazing parent. I am an amazing parent. And after you do that, see what's happening with your heartbeat. Mine is sped up. That's energy. So your child has this energy. And a great example of this energy is if they're skipping down the street out of nowhere, that's energy. If all of a sudden you are playing with them and they throw something, it's an impulse. It's energy. As adults, we have dulled and stopped our impulses. And children follow their impulses all the time. And we try to make logic out of it. Why did he do that? Why is he doing that? Why is he hitting his friends? Why is he hitting that ball? Why? And the truth is, it's an energy. It comes up, they follow it. It's like bubbles. You know, when a child sees bubbles, they touch it. When they see a bird, when children see a pigeon, they run after it. And that's energy. And so as adults, we have learned for years to shut the energy off. Look right. Present ourselves well. Don't do anything unordinary. Don't make a big deal. Know how to parent. And it sort of triggered that perfectionist stuff. And a lot of times it happens if your child's acting out in public and somebody sees, and then you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Somebody is watching me. As a conscious parent, I want you to know it's okay to have big bursts of energy. And for you, it might come out in any number of ways, but that your child is like a guru of sorts in the idea of being in their body. And consciousness is not just about the mind. Consciousness is about the mind and the body working together. And I'll confuse you a little bit more, which is not my hope, but it's something I really want to start talking about more, is the emotional body, which is not the physical body. It's the inner life, the inner joy, the inner anger, the bitterness, the shame, guilt, whatever all that stuff is that we try to stuff away because it's not how good parents parent. It is actually the awareness of it that makes you a good parent. And I hate that word good because it's so subjective, but it's the consciousness that you're aware you're doing the best you can and that you're an amazing parent. And owning that. And a tool, which is so fun, is to get in the mirror, get in your own eyes and say, I am an amazing parent. And say it until you believe it, or say it once a day. But really, really owning that if you don't know what to do in public, the one thing that you can take away from this class tonight is that you are building your relationship with your child. And if your child's acting out and this impulse in you wants to discipline your child and someone's looking at you, you can say, and you need to say something, because sometimes you need to say something to that idiot who's looking at you. You can be like, I'm building a relationship with my child. And you know what? Forget them. Because you building a relationship with your child is what sticks with them for the future. It's what teaches them how to be with their peers. It's what teaches them how to listen to you. It's what teaches them how to be in school with a teacher. So I want you to let all that in. And I know when it feels like a lot, my head starts to pound, and I just gave you a lot of content, and it's a little bit heady, where it's like, oh, a lot of information. So a really great trick to get yourself out of that, right? Out of that headache, headiness, learning too much information. So one thing you can do is, I am an amazing parent, like really get your body excited. And the coaching that I do with people involves either remote sessions like this or in-person sessions where we go beyond talk. Because there's only so much you can do by listening and talking. And that is exactly what does not work when relationship building with your child, right? There's only so much talking and explaining and like yapping on about what the right thing to do is, what the wrong thing to do is with your child before they're completely tuned out. And I have one client who says, before I go into a soliloquy, and it's a monologue. It's like your kid's like, what? I'm one, and you're telling me all this junk. Ugh. And your kid's off and running. And then you're upset because they're not listening to you. So what you can use, and this is something that I've learned a long time ago with a mentor of mine, and it's a phrase called "right now I feel." And right now, the words "right now" is so key to use with your child because they don't harbor feelings for as long as we do. Children can be happy, sad, afraid, grateful in like 30 seconds. We, as adults, get stuck. Happy. I'm happy. This is great. Today's great. The next day it's like, oh, today's awful. The whole day, kids are just quick with their feelings. And right now changes. Right now. And how about right now? And right now. So a really great way to bring consciousness into your parenting is to use "right now I feel." And this is a great introduction into really being truthful with your child and to get away from that, like, I'm happy, I'm a perfect parent, everything is great, I am calm, everything is wonderful. And then when one thing happens, you become a monster. That is very scary for a child. So I want to back it up. If you turn into a monster, it's okay. To eliminate guilt, a trick to do is, not even a trick, but just to tell your child, mommy's mad. It's not about you. I love you and you're safe. Okay? No apologizing. Being mad, being angry is a part of life. It is an energy. And if you try to hide it from your child, it's really scary when it comes out. If you integrate all your feelings and emotions into your day, then it won't be so scary if you get mad. And children are egotistical. They think everything's because of them. So by you telling them, I love you, you're safe, I'm not mad at you, I'm mad, it's all okay, it lets them know, like, okay, cool, you're mad? Great. And they can go on with their business. Again, any age, 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, 7 years, 18 years, 40 years old. It never goes away. The bond between mother and child, dad too, but mostly mother, runs so deep. And if you're mad, your child thinks they did something wrong. And so telling them, I love you, you're safe, and really, really listening to your own instinct. So if you're listening to this call live or in the replay, this is a recording, so you will get the whole copy of this. And I want to share that with anyone who's coming on. You can somehow in the middle, you can mute in the left-hand corner. Great. Beautiful. Okay. So taking this moment, we're going to do a practice, and it's called Right Now I Feel. And because children are constantly in the present moment, and as adults, we're trying to figure everything out for them, for ourselves, for this person, that person. We're givers as women. This phrase, right now I feel, you can use it out loud with your child. And it really brings your mind and your body to exactly what's happening. So if you're with your child and, okay, here's a great example of something that just happened. So I'm working with a family, and the mom and the son were about to play ball. So the mom turned around to get a ball, and in her process of turning around, her son threw a shoe at her. She doesn't know what happened. She didn't see, but it was upsetting. And so we dissected it later on. And she said, she told me she was confused. Like, what was that? Why did he do that? But in the moment, she got angry, he got upset, and then the pattern, whatever they have, started. So our conversation related on when she spoke to him about it, she said to him, right then, I felt really confused. I didn't know why you threw the shoe at me, and I felt like I didn't want to play with you anymore, through us coaching it out and working it out together. So in the moment, that situation could have been, right now I feel angry, right now I feel confused, and right now I don't want to play with you. And then the boy could respond. And right now, after she says that, is another right now. So let's say he said, I don't know why I threw the shoe. I didn't mean to throw it at you. I just got excited and I thought about throwing a ball and my arm did that. Now this boy, that her son, is very articulate and could speak like that. But regardless of the child's response, and the child could be 6 months old, 1 year, to get into the practice of right now I feel. And I'll do an example of it. Right now I feel distracted. Right now I feel excited. Right now I feel curious. Right now I feel giving. Right now I feel connected. Right now I feel my head hurting. And so all those things are happening in my mind anyway. When I give a voice to it, it brings my consciousness to this present moment, which I now am in. So whatever city you live in, as you walk down the street, all these thoughts come at you, and all these people come at you, and all these other things come at you, and your mind has done a good job of learning how to sort them out. Children do not have that. So let's picture a little 2-year-old, 3-year-old walking down the street or riding down the street. It's like fire engine, man sitting on the floor, bus, school, mommy, shoes, all these things. And it's overstimulating. And it takes a lot for a child to process. So if you can introduce the words right now, it gives them permission to have that flow of many different feelings. And it brings you to a place of more understanding. And when you're understanding, you can connect to your child. And my strong belief is that as parents, and especially mothers, you have an innate knowing what your child needs in a moment, in any given moment. And it's that kind of work, it's that goal that I have when I work with mothers, is that empowering you to get to that place where you have so much trust in your intuition that you know what to do with your child, that there's no judgment from outside people. There's no judgment from family members or yourself. The self-judgment piece comes up so much, and it turns into guilt and worry. And it takes away from joy. And that's where I've seen so many parents transforming, is that once they are easy on themselves, once there's this place of like, you know what? I know what I'm doing. I have reflection. I can see what I'm doing. I see how it's affecting my child. And maybe there's people in the public, or maybe there's family that's judging me, but I feel good about my parenting. And when you feel good about your parenting and you have a strong belief that you're doing the right thing, everybody else feels that way too. It's kind of magical how that happens. It's like when you have a strong conviction in whatever you're doing, that makes other people feel safe. So going back to the story from the beginning, when the child was having a flipped out tantrum and threw themselves on the floor, and the mom joined him on the floor, it made the onlookers feel safe. Because if your child is having a tantrum in public and you as a parent are losing it, people are more worried because you can't handle it. So if you can get to a space, right? And I mean physical and mental, where when your child is doing something and you want to discipline, you want to use that word, and all this energy comes up where it's like, I have to control my child, it becomes a power struggle and no one will win. And you are going to make people worried. If you can join your child's world and really get with them and really relax, right? Now that might get you upset. If somebody told me, relax in the middle of a tantrum, I would be like, how dare you? But if you use this one simple tool of right now I feel with your child, you can bring yourself present. Maybe you do it before you get with your child and just level with them and really get close in a neutral voice. I love you. I'm here for you. What do you want? And listen, really listen. And if where you are needs to happen, like that supermarket, lay out a plan for your child. We're going to get milk, bread, diapers, pay for it, and go home. 5 things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Milk, eggs, diapers, pay, go home. Make a song out of it. Keep it light or get it to a light place. You know, you can always use your hand as a puppet. I don't know why I do it. It just happens. But it's up to you in that moment when it feels so stressful and so strenuous to turn on the light. Turn on the like, okay, let's do this together. Shake out your face like that. Hide your face and say, okay, let's start over. It's these little tricks that I could give you a million, but it's my belief that you have them. You have them in your pocket. And sometimes your kid's going to look at you like, I'm not buying into it. But the truth is, if you commit to being silly in that moment, you will forget about the heaviness. Your child will feel safe again. If you approach and use the word discipline in that heavy way, instead of what I'm replacing it with, which is relationship building, your mindset will change. The word discipline is heavy like bricks. But if you entertain it like, you know what, I'm going to look at this as relationship building, it's already entering into a safer space of conversation, discussion, hugs, feeling love. And, you know, this teleclass and the work that I do and the private work I do with parents, I am not recreating anything that's like ultra dramatic. I'm just giving space for you to find out when and where you can use that part of you that knows that your child has to play. Their consciousness is all about play. And how to tap into that for yourself. And how to find the line between too friendly in parenting and too strict, right? And how to introduce your partner or your co-parent or your spouse into that world so that it's not about disciplining and punishing and yelling and consequences and ultimatums. Nobody learns under that kind of pressure. Nobody. And it's an old paradigm of parenting that way. And this way of being conscious is full disclosure. It's sharing your feelings, but not in a long-winded way. Children do not listen. So conscious disciplining, you know, it's this beautiful idea. How do you make it come alive? And you'll get this recording and you can listen to it again, and there's practices in it that you can use. How can you make this last in your house? I'm hoping that by now you feel optimistic, like, okay, I got this. I could do this. Right now I could shake out my hands. I could relax my body. How can this last? Great question if you're asking it. So through the action, inspiration lasts. So maybe you put up a little Post-it in your car or in your wallet that says, right now I feel. Maybe you share this information with your partner and you ask for accountability. What makes this last are actions. So talking about it isn't really an action. Doing it is an action. The next time your child has a tantrum, or there's a moment where you're like, oh man, I want to discipline, but not in front of these friends because my kid's not going to listen, and then I'm going to look stupid and I have to make excuses. And maybe those aren't your words specifically, but that's what's going on in your head. So one really quick way is to wake up every morning, and get in the mirror and say to yourself, I am an amazing parent. And it's that simple. I'm doing the best I can. All these simple phrases, I really, really believe that once you own them, and owning them with emotion, so that's why I'm saying them with such feeling. If you get in the mirror and you're like, I'm an amazing parent, I don't believe you. You have to get to that place where you believe yourself, and self-judgment and talk, that inner voice that tells us like, you're not good enough, you're doing the wrong thing, your kid doesn't listen to you, you need help, your kid needs help. All that talk comes out in energy, and it's heavy, and it makes you tired and exhausted and not want to leave the house, or not want to hang out with certain parents, or just feeling really judged and really yucky. So what I would like to offer to everybody on this call is a chance, if you're interested, if you feel like this resonates with you, if you have questions for me, is to sign up for a breakthrough session. It's a 20-minute call. And on that call, it's totally free, no strings attached. You get to ask me a question that I can answer specifically for your home. I work with families and children. I sometimes work with just mothers. I have a virtual mothers coaching group that meets once a week online in this exact technology. And it's been amazing what the moms have been coming up with. It's just for mothers. The support that comes through in a like-minded group. Now, you might have friends, you might have people that you like to talk with and talk about parenting with. It's important to discern who you hang out with. Some people focus on negative things. It's a fact. Some people only focus on very material item things. What I instill is celebrations, really complimenting and finding celebrations that you do every day. And that's what that group is about. And the breakthrough session, sorry, I'm getting excited about all these things. So everyone on this call is offered a free 20-minute breakthrough session, and you will be getting an email from my assistant to schedule that and set that up. I can't say how good of a tool that is, because I love giving. My passion is to really support moms and children and families to have more joy and ease and peace of mind. To take 20 minutes to give to yourself, to talk about healthy, conscious disciplining, just from having that neutral space where I'm not judging you, I'm just there to listen and ask the right questions and guide you, people get so much off that call. So I really invite you to sign up for that as soon as you can, as soon as you keep this inspiration going. That's an action. Having a phone call with someone you haven't met in person is an action, and that's how the inspiration lasts. And on the call, I can share more about what I do if you're interested, but it's not necessary. The call is just for you. And then at the end of the call, I can share our next steps. And I I'm just so proud of all of you for showing up on this call. If it's live, if you showed up late, if it's a recall, if you're listening on a recording, it means that you want more. And if you want more for yourself and your child, bravo. Asking for help, showing up for support is not easy. I used to be very stuck on stupid and just wanting to do it all by myself, figure it all out, be perfect. And so I want to thank you all for showing up. I appreciate your time and your energy of signing up for this. And I look forward to connecting with each of you on this call. A breakthrough session is exactly that. It's laser sharp answering your questions. And so I want to thank you tonight for showing up. This is Conscious Disciplining Equals Joyful Parenting. I hope right now you either feel relaxed, hopeful, open, curious, and ready. My name is Shane. You can go to my website, yourbeautifulchild.com. You will be receiving an email tonight to sign up on your breakthrough call, and I will follow up with you. I hope that we'll be in touch. And thank you. Grateful for your presence. And if you have any questions right away, right this second, you can send me an email at shane@yourbeautifulchild. I am on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and all these goodies. And what else? YouTube. I have a bunch of video YouTubes you can listen to over and over again, and parenting tips that are videos that are 3 minutes or less. Efficient. So once again, thank you and have a beautiful rest of your evening. Bye for now.